Synthesis of amines, and in this one we are making secondary and tertiary amines. So the first one here is a secondary amine, the second one is a tertiary amine. So to make tertiary amines, the easiest way is reductive amination, okay, especially if you have asymmetric amines. Primary amines, there are plenty of choices, but to make secondary and tertiary, you're limited really primarily to reductive amination. And with with a symmetrical tertiary amine, maybe you can do substitution, but here we don't have a symmetrical tertiary amine either. So we're going to be stuck with doing reductive amination for both of these. But in any case, let's go ahead and get started with the first one. And so I look on where I have my nitrogen, because again, always focus on the heteroatom. So here is the breakage point that I'm going to have. How do I do reductive amination? I do reductive amination by adding an aldehyde or a ketone to an amine, okay, an ammonia or amine derivative. So my left part right here, and I have a right part right here. So here, let's go ahead and write this one out. And so this carbon here is going to be the aldehyde, and then the right hand side is going to be the NH2CH3. Okay, now don't write like this because this drives me crazy. Okay, because what is that line? Okay, is that an underline? Is that a dash? What is it? Write the CH3 if you just have the one carbon. Okay, so that's what we're going to have, but that's not the only thing, because the other reagent you need in the process of this is, of course, LAH. So when you do this reaction, you will get an amine, and then you're going to have to reduce that. Okay, so if you want me to write that out, this is kind of what's going to happen here, is that these two are going to give you NCH3, and then here is the hydrogen coming out, which we really don't need, but I'm going to leave that there. Once you have this, then you're going to go ahead and do the reduction. So this is the amine part, okay, right here. Okay, so that's the first synthesis where you have the secondary amine. Now let's look at the second one where you have the tertiary. So in case of the tertiary amine, we're going to have to do the same thing, which is reductive amination. So when we do reductive amination, again, we need an aldehyde or a ketone or an amine, and in this case, in a tertiary amine, you need a secondary amine. Okay, so we're going to start with fragmenting right here. You can fragment on the left or the right. I would not recommend fragmenting at the bottom, which means don't fragment the methyl group, and you will see why in the process. Okay, just a minute. So here, 2 carbons, and I need an aldehyde or a ketone. In this case, it's just going to be an aldehyde, and then on the right hand side, I'm going to have the N and the ethyl and the methyl group on it. Okay, so these are the 2 things that I need. What else do I need? I need a reducing agent. Okay, so now in this case, I'm going to do this in a different way because I need to show you that you don't use LAH here. Okay, in this case, what you're going to use is actually hydrogenation. All right, so why do we need that instead of the LAH? So again, let's go ahead and see what products we form. So as a result of these 2 reactions over here, or these aldehydes and amines reacting, so here you have that, okay, this carbon right here is going to react with the nitrogen, right? So this carbon is reacting with the nitrogen. The nitrogen has 2 groups on it already. And remember, when you do this reaction of amine formation, you remove water in the process, okay, because right here you see this, when you form the amine, there is no oxygen remaining anymore. So what happened? You actually lost water in the process. So here you have the oxygen, but you only have 1 nitrogen. So remember, the second hydrogen is coming from this carbon right here, so which means that you form this, which is called an enamine then. Okay, so this is something we did back in aldehydes and ketones. So you form an enamine. Now you can take that enamine and you can do reduction on it. So now you cannot do LAH because LAH is for reducing carbonyls, okay, and the nitrogen groups like this one, like a double bond with nitrogen, but not a double bond with carbon. Okay, so double bond carbons can be reduced only by hydrogenation. So that's why you use a different reducing agent. So don't just memorize things randomly. Okay, so 2 different syntheses here for well, sort of different, okay, for secondary and tertiary amines.